Hi, this is Paul Tyler with another episode of our Innovation Hour. Thank you for joining us today. This is, I think, the new normal is just starting to be the normal. Laura, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm just fine. No complaints here, and I agree. I think we're just in our current state of normal. There's definitely no more new normal. It's just the current normal. But with us today to talk about some of her new normal is Allison Martin, the founder and CEO of UDoTest. So Allison, care to tell us about where's your company based out of? What is it that you do? And tell us a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Lovely to be here. I appreciate it. So really, I founded UDoTest 7 years ago now, and we had a very, very different business and outlook at that time. And certainly what started as mere curiosity in how to replace a women's pap smear, and I couldn't actually believe that women were still going for pap smears 7 years ago. And at the time I was running another business and didn't have the time. So did a lot of research and spoke to many doctors, pathologists, and soon learned actually that cervical cancer is the deadliest cancer in sub-Saharan Africa. So 15 women every day are dying from it. And fast forward many years and a wild adventure, and we can dig into it later. Essentially, I'm now based in Boston, absolutely loving what we're doing, and we have a B2B platform, UDoTest, that helps insurers and enterprises offer a personalized at-home lab testing journey to their populations.
Very interesting, very timely, and also just one thing to add is your connection to Hartford is you were a member of the last cohort of Startup Bootcamp this in March, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was absolutely based in Hartford and received a ton of support there from the community, the network, and their partners, and certainly are working with a few of them now. So loved our time there.
Yeah, well, no, this is interesting. We've said it, and I think you're like proof positive that if you were in the insurtech space before, come through COVID, it's almost what was nice to have is now like a must-have in a lot of instances. And it feels like your company is exactly in that spot.
Absolutely. No, look, we were in a very unique position when this all came about, Paul, and somewhat overwhelming at the time. So you know a bit of our backstory, but essentially, we've been driving the at-home lab testing space for so long, and certainly believed in it from the very beginning. But we're well positioned because of our experience and now the clinical aspects of it finally meeting up. But also our software is just exceptional too. That by the time COVID came, bittersweet is that we could help significantly, and we could help really incredible enterprises and physicians in an important way, and we are. So insane timing for us, and very relevant and very important.
Yeah, well, I think before, if we think about the pre-COVID benefit you're bringing, and we saw your demo day, fascinating, right? Like, wow, if we could make all of these tests available to people at home, what would be the benefit in early detection of causes before they became expensive? One of the, how do we cut our healthcare costs or manage them while we get preventative care? Big cause, right? But then why would I really want to do it if I could just go down to the doctor's office and get the test? Okay, wow. now here we go. So kind of take us what happened. So March, okay, we start to see crazy stuff going on in China in January. Wow, that's odd. A whole city of 14 million people shut themselves down. Is there something we should be worried about? At what point did you say, oh my gosh, this is hit here in the US and we've got something here that could really help? Is there a date, is there time, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually remember I was in Hartford when it happened. And what was happening is we work with phenomenal physicians across the country. And we started getting a few inquiries from the ones who know us. And they're just like, to my team, they're just like, guys, you happen to have like an at-home solution for COVID? You know, we're getting a little bit anxious. We're not really made for having infected patients in our practice. They were traditional doctors. They didn't have PPE equipment, and they're just not that type of doc. And my team and I were like, gee, you know, what can we do to help? You know, wow, I mean, this is a serious challenge that they're having. So we really started to brainstorm it, and essentially at the same time, because we work with a ton of labs, could hear the whisperings happening there too. So we knew clinically what each of them does, what they're specialized at, that kind of thing. So really it was just a case of, okay, are we going to help these doctors, or are we just going to kind of watch them? You know, like this was it wasn't necessarily a pivot, because our software was designed to do this. Our software is designed to personalize at-home testing, no matter what test it is, as long as it's clinically valid and FDA authorized. So essentially it was just like, oh, well, we're going to treat this like we treat any account. You know, if it's an insurer, if it's a physician group, if it's an employer, it makes no difference to us. We're just like, perfect. We're going to help these doctors with their own solution. And that was it. It was perfect. This is a call. We can help at that stage. Once we, you know, gotten in touch with all of the labs on this, we already had 10 labs at the time who were exploring it. So it's for me, it was just obvious. It was kind of like when I first, it's crazy, like when I first started this business, and I knew that there was a more accurate way for women to test themselves from home without going for a pap smear. It was obvious. It was like, why wouldn't I do this? I was like, why don't I? You know, why wouldn't I go ahead? Because if I knew there was a cooler way, a better way, an easier way to help people, why on earth wouldn't I? So that was it. And we just kickstarted it. And you know, like every story begins, you just start helping a couple docs, and then before you know it, you get thousands. And then before you know it, they represent employers, and they're like, oh, can you help so and so? So that was early Feb, Paul, and I was still in Hartford, and I was running around that place like a crazy woman.
Yeah. Well, this is fascinating. So if I'm a patient if I'm a patient of doctor, how am I experiencing your tests? Am I going into the doctor? Are you sending to my home to test them? How does this work today?
Cool. So Paul, we are offering our solution, and basically it's a powerful platform that gives both employers and physicians access to labs with significant capacity. So our teams have credit checked and validated all of the labs that we work with. We go through quite a stringent process, but essentially you as a patient or a consumer, you would become aware of it either through your employer. So they would say, hey, you know, we actually got this really reliable solution now. You don't have to go to CVS and get your results in 21 days. You can actually use this and get them in 1 to 4 days. Or Paul, your doctor. So everything we do is, you know, very much physician led too, but your physician will have a consult with you, and if they are a partner of ours, then they would give you access to their account, and within their account they have the full power to issue a test to you and whoever else they deem at risk, to get a test. And then from there, our system triggers the order, goes through various kind of checks and algorithms according to other doctors, but it also highlights the lab that has got that capacity at that time. So the cool thing is that now, as more labs are coming onto our infrastructure, or shall I say they're getting approved by the FDA, what happens is we actually find the lab with capacity. And so now your order gets triggered, and then it ships straight to your home. You're then guided through the process, whether that is a nasal swab, whether that is a saliva specimen. We have pretty much every option that's been approved on board. And then you would drop it in the mail, and it would go straight back to the designated lab, and you would get your results on your own profile with us, as well as your employer or your physician would get that too.
Okay, so interesting. So a lot of interesting questions, almost real questions too. Like, okay, I live in Rhode Island and I want to go to Massachusetts. Okay, there's this new travel guidance says I have to have a test within 32 hours of, I think 32. Is that right, to go to Massachusetts? Can your lab do that in 30, or was it 32 hours?
72 hours.
72 hours.
Absolutely. So we are. So employers, that's the biggest struggle right now, is employers are wanting to actually get their salespeople back on the road. And absolutely, because we have those time frames, 1 to 4 days for results, they're able to backtrack and they're able to say, all right, Allison does need to catch this flight here and therefore needs to test here. And this has overnight shipping there. They have the power and the visibility to track that. So absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Universities. Yeah, I have so many real questions.
Go ahead. I've got more.
So universities, right? So I know in the state of Connecticut, some universities, UConn, they said if you are a Connecticut resident and you're a student, you can come. Everybody else, I'm so sorry, you're going to be virtual. Do you see universities jumping on board as well?
Absolutely. I mean, we have been contacted by universities. It wasn't obviously like I guess, nothing really starts out as your initial focus, but it works the same. So it makes our system, it makes no difference who you are. Obviously it's super cool because we got like certain features for certain types of clients, but it makes no difference for universities. They would, by default get access to the 15 labs. So essentially they've got like, our system would trigger plan A, plan B, plan C, whatever. And it makes no difference. So some of our advisors have contacted us and said, please, can I just have a test for my kid? Which we have tried to help out with as much as we can. But essentially it does. It takes the university to say that and to say, cool, this is who we're using. They're quality checked, they're reliable, and click here, which we do with a ton of employers right now anyway. So absolutely, we're talking to a lot of
yeah, interesting. Well, and my daughter hopefully is going back here to school in Massachusetts. Now her school actually, I think I was on a town hall. They spent something like $6 million on COVID tests. And then now they're part, and I'll probably butcher, part of the, what is it, Broad Institute or Broad? Are you familiar with this sort of association the universities belong to for COVID testing? Do you know this?
I'm actually not.
No.
Yeah, so well, they're giving these tests once a week to all the kids. So it's different, a little different than Connecticut. If you come in, you must quarantine or do one of these tests, but they're hoping to sort of cloister these kids. Good luck. I can't do it in my own house. but they'll be administering the test. So I would think there's going to be a huge market for rapid testing at scale over the next 6 to 12 months. I mean, do you have any sort of forecast of what the demand may be for these tests?
Jeez, I mean, it's just. So, I mean, obviously bearing in mind that most of our business on our COVID project has come from physicians and from employers. So I can't give you any deep knowledge into the universities, but essentially employers are just so overwhelmed at the moment. And if anything, we're hosting dedicated webinars for them, and we're actually bringing in experts to help answer all their questions, because there's just so much. And I think to get to your point is that their plans are changing.
Yeah.
One day, it's just insane. One day they're like, oh, let's check out this COVID testing thing. And then they phone you and they're all casual and you help them out. But then the next day they've had a scare. Someone decided to go to some Mexican party on Saturday and the whole team was infected, and, come to work the next day, Allison, panic. And then all of a sudden there's chaos. So the plans are changing. What we first envisioned as being a model that would work like in February has changed probably 5 times, because now we've actually made it so flexible that now it's so cool that an enterprise or a physician or an employer can actually say, all right, I know what I'm going to do this week. And this week, I'm going to need X, Y, and Z. And next week, that might change. And then I might need these amounts of tests, or I might need none. So we've made it super flexible, because it's just, it's just been chaotic for them, and their plans have changed so much.
I wonder if we ever get to a point where, just like if you go into a large airport or a large shopping facility and vending machines would start popping up, or you could buy an iPad and you could buy, when is the COVID test vending machine coming? Because depending on where I'm going, what I'm doing, and who I'm with, I might be buying some to give to people that I'm near. So like, when is that happening?
And I'm obsessed with that stuff. So absolutely, like, our model is designed around lab tests, right? So what that means is, yes, it's confirmatory testing. So you get presumptive and confirmatory. Ours is confirmatory. When you get a result, you know for sure that is positive or negative, according to the data that it was approved on. Mm-hmm. Whereas a presumptive test is typically a rapid kit. It's typically your pregnancy test that gives you a result there and then. And with the rapid kit, that is your true at-home test that gives you a result there and then. If you come back 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, some of the data shows today that for the COVID tests, if you get, so they don't have the true rapid kits, but they've got point of care kits, which some physicians have on sites called Quidel, and there's one other. There's conflicting information, and the only reason why I say that is because half my team is on FDA calls and CDC calls for like hours every week, is because there's conflicting data that shows, how accurate and how predictable the results are. So nothing's a silver bullet. The goal, yes, would be to have that rapid kit, which is kind of better than nothing. It doesn't mean it's as accurate as this, or definitely not as accurate as this, but at least it's something. And if it comes back with a negative, get tested with one of these other 2, because then for sure you're negative and you're not spreading anything around. So long story short, essentially we're helping our clients with all of them, and we're saying cool, because we're helping manufacturers, and it's a case of all these guys are like, jeepers, we can't afford to have one day down, but we can't afford to have all our employees tested with a high complexity test. It's insanely expensive. So as the data is getting better from the FDA and the CDC, we're going to be incorporating that into our platform and say, cool, you want a box of 50, get it, but if they come back negative, confirm it and have a lab that's reliable that you can confirm it with.
So, and I've been on both sides of this. When you start something new and put a new product up, one scenario, both problems. One is you open your doors and there aren't any customers. Problem number 2 is, wow, I actually have something everybody wants. And what do I do? It sounds like that's your experience. Tell us, just from a startup perspective, what are the challenges you're facing now, where you've got a ton of demand, you've got X amount of money in the bank. When does the check show up to put the paper? What are the challenges you're going through right now that are the people to learn from?
It has been like the fastest acceleration ever. Paul, it is a combination, because remember, like our labs, because and we love Quest and LabCorp for sure, but their turnaround times are too long at the moment. So we can't actually work with them on our COVID project. So we work with a ton of other great labs. But why I say that is because they all have short cash time frames that they want to get paid. So they're our friends, and they're like, Allison, listen, we're launching this COVID-19. It's got FDA approval, but I'm going to need to get paid in 7 days. I was like, what? So now we have to have this super fast, cash flow freaking injection. So that's one, managing your cash flow on a daily, if not twice daily basis, because you got cash coming in from clients wanting tests, but then when the hell do I pay them for this test? Is it 7, 14, or 30 days? Is fascinating. And then it's thank goodness. I've been doing this for so long, and my team is amazing. So actually we had a lot of stuff that was polished before this hit. So we've got tons of automations and really cool tech tools and tricks that we already were doing, that if anything have just been well oiled now. So to answer your question, you know, it's kind of proving, I think, a lot of the hard work that we've been doing for a while.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's nice to see it actually working super well. The way we do things is very scalable. And it's really cool seeing what you kind of dreamt of actually helping a lot of folks. But would cash help, like a lot of cash, to help us do this faster and not have to pick and not have to say, oh, well, yeah, this month we can hire more salespeople or not build that. So because it's all happened so quickly, we can obviously leapfrog this super quickly. But at the moment, we're doing good work. I mean, there's nothing super critical that can't handle what we've got right now. It's really exciting.
Listen, I love your passion. Where does it come from? What is it? What drives you? This is your energy just comes off here.
Ah, man, Paul, I mean, I was born to do this.
I love that.
No. I mean, I love what I do. And I think it's, Paul, I mean, bearing in mind, I've been doing this for 7 years. I've been in the United States for 3. I'm like super passionate about like women's health and, you know, that kind of thing. So that's the initial driver. And then now I just think our software is so cool that I'm like, of course, this is the obvious solution. And finally, at home testing, everyone knows it's going to be the only way to do things in like 3 months' time. So what drives me is knowing that I was designed to do this, you know. And in all honesty, I mean, when I moved to the United States in 2017, I did this for no money. You know, so bearing in mind, I have another company that works without any employees, and it's like the most amazing business ever. But I may.
I love that too.
So to answer the question, you have to be prepared to do something without cash. You know, what would you truly wake up for every day and work your ass off for nothing?
Yeah.
And that's what I truly found.
Yeah.
For sure.
Laura, what are the questions?
You know, I'm distracted by your passion, honestly. The whole time I'm just like, and I have this question and that question. I would say, so once you build this and you continue this work and you get it to a place where your amazing team is even larger and more amazing and it's running itself, what's next for you? Because you have the company one running and it sounds fabulous, and now you're here. But what's the next thing down the pipeline? Or are you not there yet?
No, we're definitely there. So we got such cool stuff. So actually, you know, COVID has just expedited some of our strategic plans. I mean, for sure, COVID helped. But really, what we really came for is a lot more exciting than just a COVID test. And I mean, I'm not going to divulge too much here. A few investors we're talking to do know our strategic plans, but it's literally an absolute game changer. And it's really going to impact people. We're going to start filtering it out towards the end of this month and dabbling a bit in that. Which
Excellent. All right. Well, we
look forward to
a teaser here. So
yeah.
Hey, okay. We can't end without asking, how do people get in touch with either find your company and get in touch with you?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So essentially, either our core websites is UDoTest.com, which is UDoTest.com, or our employer COVID solution or enterprise COVID solution is coronaviruslabtests.com. And there's no S in lab. So it's those 2 sites.
Okay.
We're obviously active on LinkedIn. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Twitter's another one. I'm not massive on that, but getting better. And those, I'd say, are the core ones.
Excellent. All right. Hey, listen, we'll look forward to watching your progress and helping in as many ways as we possibly can here.
Appreciate it.
Rest of the
And
year.
we'll have to have you back in a few months to discuss whatever it is that's next.
Yeah. All right. Listen, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.